These are the solutions for questions 25 through 35 on the review for the final test. And so it talks about number 25, a rope being cut into 3 pieces, and we've seen this type of problem before, so this one's a little different in that in this case the expression to represent the 3 pieces is a little bit has changed a bit. So if I call the first piece x, the second piece y, and the third piece z, and what it says is the second piece, so y right here, this is my second piece, is, so once I see that, I write down y equals, and then it says 1 more than twice the length of the first. Well, twice the length of the first would be 2x. 1 more than that would be 2x plus 1. And then it says the third piece, so the third piece is, so as soon as you see that, write down z equals, and then it says 3 more than triple the length of the first. So 3 more than triple the length of the first piece. And so now we've got that expression written. And I take a look at the next part. It says the length of the rope prior to it being cut is 94 feet. So I know the total length is 94. So let's do this. Let's take the x, add it to the second piece, which is 2x plus 1, and then add it to the third one, which is 3x plus 3. And those all equal 94 feet when I add it together. Well, I can go ahead and count up my x's. I got 1x, 2x's, and 3x's make 6x. Count up the numbers here. 1 and 3 make 4, and those add to make 94. Well, I go ahead and subtract the 4 from all sides, and I get 6x equals 90. So I can go ahead and do some division here. Divide by 6. Let's see here. 6 goes into 9 one time with 3 left over, so it looks like 15 is the length of x. Well, if I want to, I got to look and see what the question is. It says find the longest piece. The longest piece is going to be the one where we triple the length of the first and then add 3 more. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's going to be z, the third piece. So 3 times by 15 plus 3. So I go ahead and multiply those numbers. I get 45 and 3. Add to make 48. So 48 feet, that's the length of the longest piece. So taking a look at our next problem, Ed bought 5 boxes of apples. So 5 boxes of apples. So I'll do 5A. A represents the cost of the apples. Plus 2 boxes of pears, 2P, and the total is $51. A box of apples costs $7. Well, we know that apples are $7, so let's put a 7 in place of A. That's what I ended up doing. I substituted. Plus 2P equals 51. So I go ahead and do some work there. That makes 35 plus 2P equals 51. Subtract that 35 from all sides, and I have to borrow a bit, and I end up with 16 equals 2P. So that means P is $8 for the pears when I divide by 2. Next one, Ed charges a setup fee of $150. Ed's charge is $150 plus $10 each hour. So $10 every hour he works. We don't know the number of hours, but if I did, I'd multiply that by 10 and add 150. Well, Ted charges a $100 setup fee and $15 per hour. It's a little bit more per hour, but it's a cheaper initial cost. So he's cheaper to start with. Ted is the one that's less expensive to start with. Ed's more expensive, but eventually Ed will be cheaper because he charges less per hour. We want to find out when will they charge the same. Same, that means equals. So all we're going to end up doing is opposite operations to get the variable onto one side, constants onto the other. And so I'll bring the h's over to the right-hand side and subtract the 100 from 150 to bring the constants to the left. 50 equals 5h. Divide by 5, and h is 5. So 5 hours it's going to take until they charge the same. I'm sorry, not 5 hours. That would be half that amount. So let's fix that real quick. It's going to be 10 hours. 5 goes into 50 10 times. So 10 hours in order for them to charge the same. And the next one here, find x and y intercepts. Well, when we want to find the intercepts, you're going to set one of them equal to 0. And that's what we're going to do here. So let's set x equal to 0. When I set x equal to 0, I've got negative y equals 12. And this will give me my y-intercept. So when I divide by -1, I get y equals -12. So my y-intercept is 0 for x, -12 for y. That is the y-intercept. For the x-intercept, we're going to end up setting y equal to 0. So now we've got 4x equals 12. Divide by 4, I get x equals 3. So the x-intercept is 3, 0. Over here, for my x-intercept, I've got 1/2 x equals 4. Now, careful on this one. We've got to multiply by that reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. So notice that your answer here for the x-intercept is 8, not 2. So it's going to be 8, 0. And the next one is -2y equals 4. This is going to give me my y-intercept. Divide by -2, I get -2. So my y-intercept is 0, -2. Next one here, 2x equals 12, and I'll set up my other one, -3y equals 12. So when I go ahead and divide by 2 here, I get x is 6, so it's going to be 6, 0. And over here, I'm going to divide by -3, so I end up with a -4, so it's 0, -4. Over on this side, I got 3x equals 3, and I've got -1/4 y equals 3. So when I go ahead and solve this one, divide by the 3 here, I get x is 1, so it's 1, 0. But over here, I have to multiply by that reciprocal, -4. So I end up with a y equals -12. So 0, -12. Well, here we're supposed to graph using xy intercepts. So we're doing the same sort of thing, and we're going to plot those points now to come up with the intercept. So we've got 2x equals 10. And so when I go ahead and divide here, I get x is 5. So I go over 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put the dot there. Over here, I'm going to divide by -5. So I get y is -2. So I go down 2 spaces, put the dot, and then draw the line between those points. That's the nice thing about xy intercepts. It goes pretty quick, but it only works really well when you have numbers that the coefficients go into that constant. It makes it a little bit easier. So in the next one, -3x equals 12, so x equals -4. So I go over 4 spaces to the left, put the dot. For the next part, 2y equals 12, so y equals 6. So I go up 6 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right at the top of the graph. And draw the line, and that is it. Next one here. Notice that you're dividing by -2, so -2y equals 6, so y is -3, so down 3 spaces, put the dot. And the next part, -3x equals 6, so I divide by -3, I get x as -2. So 2 spaces to the left, put the dot there, and then draw the line between those points. Make sure you extend that line and put arrows at the end, showing that it goes on forever in those two directions. Next one here, 4x equals 4, so x is 1. So I go over 1 space, put the dot. Next one, 2y equals 4, so y is going to be 2. So up 2 spaces, put the dot there, and then draw the line between those points. So oftentimes on multiple choice questions, they give you the graph, and you have to match the equation. Look for those intercepts if the graphs or the equations are in this form like what we've been solving here. Look for those intercepts and match it to the equation. See what they are. Well, those are problems that you'll see on at least up through 35. Check out other parts for other problems.